there's one thing this movie did, is made me want to go out into some wildfires and save some kids. With my blade. Ho-ho! Party people! Bobo here with BrassReel Brothers. Thanks for coming back for some more popcorn. Well, it's time for another episode of
Year of the Max.
with the new release of Those Who Wish Me Dead, starring Angelina Jolie, Nicholas Hoult, the badass John Bernthal, Finn Little, and Aidan Gillian, or Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. That little twerp. But man, he's definitely got his role in Hollywood as playing the bad guy. He does a great job in this one. But it's directed by Taylor Sheridan, and this is what I like to refer to as a non-target film. And when I say that, I mean a film that's not going after any specific audience. It's just taking a good story that was based off of a novel and turning that into a film. When you have movies like that are Marvel films, that's a specific audience. Star Wars, specific audience. Horror, specific audience. But movies like these, they really don't have a specific audience, in my opinion. They're not trying to target anyone. They're just like, hey, this is a good story. And I kind of miss movies like that. They did that a lot in the 90s. Just released good films that weren't really based off any property that you already knew about. Remember Seven? Like Fight Club? Those movies were awesome. And a little sleeper hit that some of you might know of, but most people don't, is Suicide Kings. Man, that movie not only just has a badass cast, but it's a phenomenal film that was just based off of a great story. And I don't think we have enough of those these days. With that being said, this one was pretty good. It starts off pretty interesting, pretty quick. Like, actually waste no time. Pretty quick, you just see right off Littlefinger and Nicholas Hoult. I'm gonna refer to him as Littlefinger and Nick. They're like blowing up a house like right away. And you see on the news later that it was a district attorney's house that got blown up. It quickly jumps to this guy who's with his son, they're having a good day, and they see that on the news, that this district attorney just got off. Well, immediately that dad starts acting weird, it's him and his son, and long story short, the dad decides to just go into hiding, calling on one of his family members played by John Bernthal, who's a sheriff of this like mountain town where there's a bunch of firefighters who are fire jumpers. And Angelina Jolie is one of those fire jumpers. They're definitely taking their time for a minute with each character to get you set up, get you know who they are. Like with Angelina Jolie, because she's the main character, they give you a quick exposition on her and her relationship with her firefighters. They're all cool, but she also has these like flashback dreams of these kids she couldn't save in a fire a long time ago. Painting that picture that she's just got this baggage. But just as always, like every other Year of the Max review, no spoilers here, just telling you my thoughts and giving you a little quick synopsis on the film. Anything I talk about is stuff you've seen in the trailer. And Jolie's character is sort of this wild card. She walks to the beat of her own drum. And her setup in the movie is that she's having to do time at this like lone fire tower on her own because she got reprimanded for doing something crazy. And this movie's not a whodunit film. It's not a movie who you're trying to figure out who the villains are. You know who the villains are right off. It's more of a survival film. In fact, it's nothing but a survival film. But the reason these guys are after this dad and his kid now, because he was a forensics investigator who uncovered something bad about someone bad. But even from the beginning, before it really pops off and really kicks off, the movie's just going back and forth between the father and son, John Bernthal and his family, Angelina Jolie with her grief in the tower, and Littlefinger and Nick. And it just keeps bouncing back and forth between all those so you can see what they're doing. Ultimately, all their paths start to cross because of what's going on. And when everything's starting to close in, obviously, when you see everybody's, they're getting closer, that's when it kicks off. It's a movie that's just waiting for a second to pop off, and then it pops off. But I will say it's a nail-biter the whole way through. I was definitely in it. I was invested. And like you've seen in the trailer, the whole time, it's just really Angelina Jolie trying to help these people out of the situation. And look, if I'm being honest, I really have never seen Angelina Jolie as like an action character or anything like that, as like some badass or anything. I never really bought it as Tomb Raider, and when I was first seeing the trailer for this, I was just kind of like, I don't know if I buy it. And again, in this movie, I'm not sure if I buy her being a fire jumper. Don't get me wrong, she's a great actress, she's beautiful, all that stuff, but just don't know if I buy her being a fire jumper. But the flip side of that, about what works for that in this movie, she actually goes with that. She doesn't know all this martial arts or MMA. She's just someone that's a survivor. She's got this spirit inside of her, and they focus on that a lot, which I really like. And look, she is a good actress. She does fine in this. It's nothing mind-blowing, but the kid, Finn Little, is fantastic. That dude's definitely believable in the movie. Like, this whole time, I really felt bad for him and his situation, what he was going through. I mean, he definitely proves his acting chops. I can see him having a career. And also, John Bernthal's great. He has this scene where he's talking to the villains. I don't want to say anything, but it's just his dialogue and the way he portrays that moment is badass. But Bernthal's great in everything. And his wife's awesome too, played by Medina Singer, I think is the way you say her name. She's fantastic too, she does a great job. And at first you just thought she was gonna be in the movie for a little bit, but you actually do get to see her a good bit in the movie. But I tell you what, Littlefinger and Nick, they play the villains in this movie, like I said, and they're brutal. I mean, at first you see kind of, yeah, they're brutal, whatever, but the further the movie goes along, you're just like, damn, those guys are nasty. But just like any other movie, it's all building up to a third act and sort of a major ending scene, and it is really good then. And one thing that I really like is that you've kind of forgotten about the fact that they're in a wildfire country, and so that becomes sort of like a second threat. Yeah, there's some stuff that's a little unbelievable about the wildfire scenes here and there, like how some things actually go down in the fire in the movie. It's probably not the way it would go down in real life, but come on, it's a movie. I don't care. They didn't go too far with it. In this ending scene, though, you get to see really what I was talking about that spirit of Angelina Jolie's character shining through. You get to see how badass she really is, but not because she's like an MMA fighter or she's got all these martial arts skills or something. She's just extremely strong-willed and strong-spirited, and she's just not gonna give up in this movie. And I really like that about her character. Kind of turned me around. At first, I was like, eh, and by the end of it, I was like, damn! So all in all, pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I give it a B. I had no real knowledge about what this movie was going to be, except it was Angelina in a wildfire with a pickaxe. But honestly, I liked it better than Mortal Kombat, and I liked it better than The Little Things, and definitely better than Tom and Jerry. Ho-ho! So if you got HBO MAX, give it a whirl. It's on there. Might as well check it out. I don't know if I'd go to the theater to see it, but it's definitely worth streaming. Now it's put me in the mood to watch that old school Howie Long movie, Firestorm. Ho-ho! Guys, thanks again for joining me for some more popcorn. Look for BrassReel Brothers on Facebook. Look for Bobby Williams on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter, BrassReel Bobby at BrassReel. And as always, if life gives you lemons, make some hot, fresh popcorn.